Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. We had a massive outage, it seems like, on YouTube. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. We were in the midst of talking about some of the great stuff that was happening, and it looked like the stream just died, unfortunately. So, um, sorry about that. We were in the midst of talking about some really great stuff, and YouTube couldn't handle it, unfortunately. And so I got to thank Spencer once again, Spencer Mullen, the king at GeForce TV, for being able to work everything and fix it, make it right. Um, we lost our crowd, unfortunately, and we were having a pretty good crowd already. A good amount of people tuned in. Um, so we're gonna be back going here. Um, First time I've actually had that happen before. It we've had some moments where stuff kind of got delayed, but we've never had it where the stream just completely died on me. So thanks to those who have tuned back in. If you can, put the thumbs up again, because we're gonna need to rebuild our thumb tally, because we had a good amount of people tuned in. So thank you guys for continuing to tune in. So what we were talking about was the Gannets, man, and how awesome it is that we're gonna see these two on the track. But there was other big news that happened today, and this one I am so excited about. I didn't expect it, honestly. It kind of was something I was made aware of the other day, and then they were ecstatic to announce that they were going to happen. And basically, let's get this going here. Let's press play. I can't have the audio play just because it could be copyright and it would take the stream down. But here it is, guys. Let's the big news that took place today. So we got to see one of these names last year, but we've seen a couple of them, both of the names involved over the last couple of years, and this is the excitement. Josh Collins, Brandon McFarlane, they're gonna race in the NASCAR Pinty Series because they've created a NASCAR Pinty Series team, and it's not a one race show. This is something that they're working on. Uh, the excitement level is through the roof right now with Brandon McFarlane. I've been talking with him quite a bit, and I haven't got the opportunity to talk with Josh. We are trying to work on having them on the show next week, having an interview with both of these guys to talk about this amazing story. Brandon McFarlane, Josh Collins, number 23, number 45, out of Newfoundland, Canada, and it is I'm so excited for them. This is something that sorry about that, that I did not expect. The big question is who will maintain the cars in Ontario or Quebec. Great question, Joel. That's a great question. I don't know. I would think, I don't know if they're what they're doing, if they're traveling or what, but spoke to them, Brandon, and it's not going to be full-time effort this year. That's not in the cards right now. Obviously, they'd love to be able to do that, and that's the key thing, right? It's always you'd love to be able to do that, but that is going to be the question mark, right? If they're going to make the trip out here, sounds like they are. What comes out of it? It's a hard deal to get into this business as it is. I mean, Joel's seen tons of teams and drivers come over the years, from NASCAR into the Canadian Tire Series into the Pinty Series. It is a really hard gig, but I'm hopeful that they're going to continue to build this program. I know they want to go full time in 2024. Picked up some pretty good cars, pretty good oval cars. Right now, plan is ovals. I believe they're looking at, I would think 3 to 4 races is probably the max. Owl, the issue, I have no idea. For whatever reason, the connection between YouTube and my software just died. So that's what happened there. For Newfoundland, for Atlantic Canada, this is huge. I've been privileged to chat with a lot of people from Newfoundland. Thanks really to the NASCAR Pinty Series community page, and the love that they have for motorsports is huge. So to have a team that is their local team that's going to go out and do races again is great. I'd like to say that a bunch of teams are going to do this. I don't know, though. I think start off with these two, do a couple races starting at Sunset Speedway. And if they can, build. That's the biggest thing is you got to build. Year in and year out, we know that funding is the biggest question here. If you can do it, great. If you can't, you got to know, like, this is kind of the deal, right? It is a hard business to get into. The NASCAR Pinty Series is not cheap by any means. And it's a good thing that we're talking about teams that have come into the series, not teams that are leaving right now. So that's a good problem to have. So let's start with, you have Pi Racing come in last year with one car, Tej 80 Inc. come in with one car, and then of course you've got these teams coming in. That's fantastic. Now eventually the questions are going to be, are we going to be able to sustain? We already know funding is very difficult to find in racing in general, but to see where we've gone in a short amount of time, I think a commitment from Pinty's going to this degree is great. Continuing will be fantastic. But we need to continue the hype, continue the growth if we can. But I was blessed to be able to speak with a member of the Atlantic fans, and it is awesome to have a chat with him. His name's Regan McCauley out of Prince Edward Island. I had a great conversation with him talking about Atlantic Canada and how big this is for them, what they've got going out there. And I want to promote him as well, because what Regan's doing here is he was one of the guys that he put on some amazing videos last year for the NASCAR Pinty Series. And as a fan that's been trying to promote the series for a couple of years, to have a guy like him come in and put such well put together videos, not only putting them out there, but getting the views and getting people interested. It was remarkable. I think a lot of people in NASCAR deserve to see him because some of the stuff that he does is exactly fantastic. It is. I love seeing not just the fact that he's put this stuff together as a YouTuber, but that he's done it with the idea and the concept of growing the series, which is kind of the idea behind this as well. But again, I'm only one voice, so to have somebody else do it, it's so rewarding to see. And he got a couple thousand views on some of his race breakdowns. He's going to be hopefully working with us in the future, doing a couple more opportunities, whether a guest appearance here talking about a race. We're really excited to potentially do that. He's got a future in the racing biz, for sure. And so we're very excited. I'm going to try, and hopefully this will work here. This is we talked Regan McCauley and myself about the NASCAR Pinty Series, what it's like in Atlantic Canada, how the Atlantic Canada racing scene is going, and let's hope everything works here. All right, so very exciting to finally have our first. We haven't had our first guest. We had Larry Jackson a couple weeks ago, but this is one of the things that I've been really hoping to do here on the Power Hour, which is have folks that impact our NASCAR Pinty Series, who are fans, and Riegser is somebody who you guys may hear me talk about quite a bit. He's been in the chat. Actually, he'll probably be in the chat tonight at some point, knowing him. But put out a couple videos last couple of years. Actually, did race reviews last year. I think might be the only one that was really doing that, Riegsy. And so thank you for joining me. We're going to chat some NASCAR Pinty Series. So thank you, buddy, for joining me.
Oh yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we so first off, let's just put things a little bit in perspective. So I'm sitting here I'm Scarborough, Ontario. That's where my base is out of. Where are you based out of?
Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island.
So Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. That's first off, we're talking reach, right? We go all the way from one end of the country to the other. What's the racing scene like in Prince Edward Island, Riegsy?
Well, yeah, we only really have one local track. It's not a really big thing over here necessarily. I guess that's a way you could put it. The main racing you would get here is like horse racing and all that, around the hockey rink and all that, the main one, big one that we have in the city. But I mean, again, we do have the local track here. I did, of course, reveal on my Twitter about getting the social media manager job there. So that's obviously
right, buddy. Congrats.
Something I'm very grateful for. But I mean, yeah, over here we have our one local track about like 20 or 25 minutes away from home. From here, it's a track I've been supporting for many years now, definitely over a decade now. So I would say it's definitely a long time coming to go from being a fan to now having to work there. Because quite literally last year, I recorded 2 vlogs at that track, 2 videos. And it's just funny how I went in there just as some like random fresh out of high school YouTuber, just having some fun with a phone and the camera app. And then all of a sudden the next year I'm sitting in an office talking with some of the owners of the track saying like, okay, what can you do for us this next season? Then I shake their hands and the rest is history. So that's pretty much what we have over here on Prince Edward Island, the Wisterbed Speedway. Can't wait for the next season. Obviously, things have been really ramping up, especially with my hiring there too. So yeah.
So the exciting part, obviously, now I'm curious. I don't know much about Oysterbed. Is it something that could be a Pinty's track ever, or is it a little too small?
It's definitely a little too small, and financially, I don't think it would really make sense either. I mean, we've seen tracks in the Pinty series before that don't have like a live pit road. It's just kind of an off skirt out in the garage area, pit area, whatever you want to call that. But I mean, you could maybe fit 15 cars on the track, but I would say like financially and based on infrastructure and all of that and how many people can park in there, it's probably not possible. But then again, you never know.
Well, one of the reasons I want to get you on here, because you put out some amazing videos last year, and I love seeing that, because for ourselves, we started Stickers and Scuffs, and then the Power Hour. We really started off by watching Can Race and Stephen Ellis, Bryce Turner, the Caitlin Patrick. They were the originators for us, and Now seeing you come out and put out some content that's actually, and it got a lot of views, lots of people
Oh
were
yeah.
watching it, and that's what we need, right? I mean, you're like you said, you're fresh out of high school. You know kind of how to reach that audience. We're old farts. We have no idea what we're doing. So, it's great. So one of the news pieces that I would have talked about in the open is a 2-car team out of Atlantic, Canada, coming out of Newfoundland. Brandon McFarland and Josh Collins have teamed up, and this is I would have to go back, but I know we've had some drivers that have raced a couple of races from out Atlanta. Donald Chisholm would be out of, Nova Scotia would be probably the biggest. But in terms of a 2-car operation, this has got to be the first one. As a fan, a racing fan out in Atlantic, Canada, how excited are you for this?
Well, yeah, no, it's definitely great to see. I mean, we have a very passionate fan base over here in Atlanta. You might think maybe compared to provinces like out in the western coast of Canada, or even like in the central with like Ontario and Quebec, all that, there's definitely a lot of people out there that underestimate what we have over here in Atlantic Canada. I mean, it's kind of not surprising in a way, because with Ontario, it's kind of like America, where there's tracks pretty much all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Well, over here it is a little bit limited. But again, though, like a lot of people just underestimate it here. We have a very, very passionate fan base, especially in like provinces like Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and such. I mean, we saw it at Riverside for plenty of years before that, unfortunately, got away from the schedule. Now we're seeing it with Eastbound over in Newfoundland. We saw how that first race went last year. Absolutely excellent. Like, just looking back into the memories at Riverside, like the attendance was always unreal. Maybe not statistically similar to other tracks on the schedule, like, lackluster numbers, both fans and drivers just showing up, because like a lot of races you would only maybe get like 15 drivers, while other oval races in Ontario you might get like 25 even. But regardless of that, like for maritime standards, for Riverside standards, like the fans absolutely loved it. Every time I went there, it was an absolute treat, and it does suck that we don't get to race there anymore. At least for now, though.
At least for now, yeah.
Yeah, there's been rumors of that. Obviously, there were for this year, and hopefully maybe next year's schedule. We'll find out if they'll be back for that. But yeah, whenever Riverside lost its spot, pretty much everyone over here lost hope of anything for the future over here.
Yeah.
But we got lucky, obviously, when Eastbound was given an opportunity. And I mean, it does help that they're a quote unquote NASCAR home track. That definitely helps their case. But it only took one race for everyone over here to breathe a sigh of relief, because it finally gave hope for the future. I mean, yeah, Mother Nature was mean. We could have definitely had a better crowd for that one, but again, the crowd that still showed up for that race was absolutely outstanding. Like even from the broadcast, like I was amazed by how much they were into it, especially with the people like on the PA and all that. And like, the racing was even very entertaining. Like Brett Taylor's mishap on the first lap, Andy Ranger blowing up, Brendan Watson, Dexter Stacy acting like underdogs throughout the whole race, and then Cameron goes out and wins. Like it had a lot of storylines, a lot of headlines in that. It definitely gave me a lot to say whenever I did that race recap video or whatever on that. LP Dumoulin's crash was a little concerning, but we'll forget about that.
I'd say that was, and I mean, I one of those things like with NASCAR, I would expect that there's going to be some sort of I don't know what change would come out of it, but there's got to be something. I mean, I don't think that they liked the security really wasn't there at that angle, like that, and that was the one thing they talk about like all the time with race cars is if there's a wrong spot, they'll find a place to hit.
It always does somehow, always does.
Right. So, you had 2 local drivers last year. You had Sarah Thorne, Newfoundland, and Brandon McFarland, and there's some drivers out in Atlantic, Canada, for that in Nova Scotia. Do you guys have any drivers that you think would take a run at a Pinty's ride?
Well,
that was a loaded question, but
yeah. I mean, there are definitely names I could put out there, but the one name that's always kind of stuck with me, especially for Nova Scotia, is Cole Butcher, because he's been in the late model scene in the United States as well.
Yeah.
He runs in the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, I believe he does have a couple championships, but again, it's probably just kind of a financial situation there. He'd have to get really lucky if he wanted to get an opportunity with Pinty's. But again, with this new series that we're getting over here now in Atlantic, Canada, the super late model series for New Brunswick and Prince Edward Island, that's that I guess you could unprofessionally describe it over here now as like a stock car war, because the Maritime Pro Stock Tour is always been there, between Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island. I think a bit of New Brunswick too, but like it just over the years, like it slowly just started to kind of dwindle down. Like there was still interest in it.
Yeah.
But nothing really, there was nothing fresh. Like people seem to be getting like really bored, and like a lot of like Maritimes drivers and fans were just really begging for something new, something fresh. And that's what we got the super late model series. Like the people I've talked to so far, I've talked to the main like head founders and stuff, those guys, and they have such enthusiasm for what they're building, which is, I mean, that's the reason why I put my foot through the door and talking to them, and being able to get opportunities to work with them for the inaugural season. Like, again, drivers and fans across the Maritimes have been begging for years for something new, something fresh, something better on a financial level, because I know the Maritime Pro Stock Tour has definitely had its controversies over with certain tracks and stuff, how much money they want to host a race at different tracks. Such, I know with the Oyster Bed, it's like in the tens of thousands, I've heard, which, people are not happy about that. So the super late model series will definitely help in a financial manner. I hope I'm correct in saying all that, but and also to like something that puts the drivers in the spotlight more frequently. Not saying the Pro Stock Tour doesn't, but this series has been going absolutely hammer on trying to get the drivers in the spotlight, especially for introducing them across all the social media pages and stuff. And like it's again to drivers that may even get an opportunity in the Pinty series. It's all new and fresh, so it's going to fit the modern pipeline in terms of finding up and coming talents. So that's definitely going to help. And with me personally, like for how much of a lackluster place PEI is, this might definitely help in getting more attention over at Oyster Bed Speedway.
Yeah.
So, and again, everything I said about the series is why I put my through the door for both that and Oyster Bed, which now you can see how that's obviously turned out. So obviously, if there are any viewers in Atlantic Canada for the Power Hour, like I would highly recommend checking this series out, especially go into their social media pages and all that, because the inaugural season hasn't even started yet. And yet it's all the potential with everything, with the looks and just everything there is, outstanding. It's why I put my foot through the door. So
it's what you need, right? I mean, we've talked about this for the Pinty series. This is supposed to be NASCAR's top division across Canada. And the more people that we can get that are talking about it, I think it filters down. I think that the higher that you get a series like this, in terms of reputation and recognition, then again, you get guys like yourselves who get into these racetracks, who get into racing series that are smaller time. They bring that passion and excitement with them, and it does wonders. And we're hoping to continue that through partnerships all throughout this season with the NASCAR Pinty series. I mean, having a team coming from Atlantic Canada make the trip, like, we know this is not an easy thing with money to do touring series in Canada, but to have strong home tracks like you guys are doing out in Prince Edward Island, like they're doing out at Eastbound Park, like Sunset Speedway is doing, this is all really good stuff. Yeah, sure. There's still a lot of work to be done. I think we can admit, right? Like, there's a lot of people, I think, that even in your video, and you talked multiple times about the Pinty series in multiple videos, and people have no idea what it is. There's people that talk about it, like us, we talk about it all the time, but there are some people that have absolutely no idea that there's NASCAR in Canada. And one of the things that I think I'd be very curious to see is if they did something like an Atlantic tour. Not suggesting a NASCAR series per se, but I think you're already going out to Eastbound Park. So why not bring back Riverside? We talked about this. We love
both those tracks on the schedule.
It is, but and see, I don't know. You would probably know a little bit more than that and I about like how easily it would be accessible to get to. But I think ticket value alone, I would do both in during the week. Honestly, like you see it out in Edmonton and Saskatoon, right? Two different provinces, but it's on a couple days worth of touring. Maybe there's something there. I mean, you've said before, like the races at Riverside were phenomenal. Sure, counts went down, but I think the series at that time was also struggling in terms of count. I think we've got like a little bit more of a refresh. I think adding two new cars out of Atlantic Canada, that's another race that they could go to because it's a lot closer. So there's a lot of benefit right now. Do you think though that Riverside is, I mean, we know like we've talked to countless drivers in the series, it is their favorite track by leaps and bounds. But are those other tracks around there? I think there's Petty International, Oyster Bed, obviously we talked about, maybe a little too small, Scotia Speedway 660. Are these viable options, or are we talking likelihood Riverside because it's already been used?
Well, that last point you made there, the Riverside probably would make the most sense because we've already had a history there. And if the drivers say that's their favorite track, then that would make the most sense, especially financially and stuff, instead of trying to find all these other new unproven tracks, because that might destroy finances in a way. But like, yeah, I mean, tracks like Petty and Scotia Speedway, I think they definitely could be viable with the Pinty series. It's just, it all has to come down to a bunch of different factors between finances and infrastructure and just the interest as well between drivers and management and the fans as well. But I'm sure like if a track like Petty or Scotia Speedway was even given an opportunity, like there's also too, this is like completely out of this world probably, but there is a road course in southern Nova Scotia. I think it's Atlantic Motorsports Park. I think that might be the name, but like it's mainly meant for like, I think testing and such. It has nowhere close to the infrastructure of getting some like series to go out there. But the way I think about it is like, I've watched videos of cars like taking laps around the track. I've looked at photos of the track. Like if it could be given some serious renovations, I think it'd be an absolutely wild fever dream to try and get a Pinty Series road course race over in Atlantic Canada. There's probably no way, but I'm just saying, if you put walls around the thing, you extended the track just a little bit out, you try to put on maybe like a bigger pit road, a better infrastructure, stands and all that, like it'd be a hell of a plan, but I'm just saying.
This is the excitement that talking about this brings, because there's always we could do this, or we could do that. I mean, we've seen races on airports multiple times. I mean, ICAR and Edmonton Indy was on an airport circuit for quite a while. So I think there's definitely options out there, and to have kind of voices. And this is what's been great, is that we've got opportunities to have you on the show. And obviously we're going to keep the conversation going all season long, Riggsy. And but I want to bring some attention, obviously, because you do put out NASCAR Pinty Series content. I'd like you to shout out kind of your channel and where people can find you.
Yeah, for sure. You can find me obviously at Riggs or on YouTube. I definitely been on a hiatus since I think Circuit ICAR last year. But again, you know, life's been doing its good old thing with college and just, you know, other life things. It's just life. Yep. That's the best way to put it. But you know, with the racing season coming back, I'm definitely going to be looking back into getting content out and recapping another Pinty Series season. Of course, I definitely want to. It's just going to be a question of other factors in life and how things go. And now the new job at Oyster Bed, working the Super Late Model Series. But the thing is, too, with all that, I think this is going to definitely give me like a lot of good opportunities to be able to combine and collaborate with everyone while also maintaining the Rigzer brand. Because you saw last year with all the videos I put out relating to the Pinty Series, the reason why I wanted to do that, because I felt like it needed more attention. It needed more representation online. And I felt it was lacking that for a couple of years. And then I went out and the rest is history right there. And I want to end up doing that. And being from Atlantic Canada too, we're over here, we need a lot more representation in motorsports now with the 2-car team now coming in there, the Super Late Model Series coming in here. Also now the opportunity, the social media manager over at Oyster Bed, like all of that right there is just going to combine to give what I believe will be hope for, a better future for Atlantic Canada, and like just being able to create and provide all that content all together. It excites me, and I just can't wait to see what this year will hold. I'll do the best I can in trying to get content out whenever I do have the time. And I will shout out one thing. This Thursday is a month before the season opener at Sunset Speedway. I do have something in mind coming out then. I don't know if copyrighted music, I don't know if YouTube will allow copyrighted music, but if the video doesn't get blocked, then prepare for something, because there'll be a lot of hype to it. The way I'll put it is the one word with it is hype.
Perfect.
So if YouTube does not block the video, then be prepared for something on Thursday, because it's like 1 month before the season. Get ready.
I can't wait. I love your content, buddy. I thank you so much for doing all that you do for this series, man. It's so appreciated, and we absolutely love seeing more and more people come in and provide content. And obviously this won't be the only time Riggsy will be on the show. I call him Riggsy. I didn't even ask if that's cool, but Riggsy, yeah.
My girlfriend calls me Riggsy. So.
Oh no. So
yeah. It all comes full circle.
We don't want to start anything here. I don't want to come between you guys, but appreciate it, buddy. And we'll be catching Riggsy all season long, man. And congratulations. We'll definitely be chatting about Pinty series from time to time here on the show. And you know what? It was a lot of fun.
Like, I appreciate you giving me the time to come on here and shout out Atlantic Canada, and also shout out my channel as well. I can't wait to see what happens next, and hopefully I'll be back on sometime in the near future.
Sounds great, buddy. What a great guy. Definitely got a future in this podcasting deal. Got a great channel. Make sure you guys get in there and subscribe, follow along. He is going to be busy this year, so he might not have as much NASCAR Pinty Series content as he's had in the past, but we definitely want to shout out Riggsy for putting forth some NASCAR Pinty Series content. It definitely is something as people that are fans of the series that we really want to see it succeed and grow. This is the type of stuff that really does help series that maybe don't have the recognition. And we're really excited to check in and have Riggsy come on in and be a guest a couple of times. Hopefully throughout the season, talk about the races, plans to hopefully do a NASCAR Pinty Series season preview, and get some guys on to talk about that. Riggsy would definitely be one of them, but definitely, guys, if you can, go check out his videos. Honestly, I'm a huge fan of the content that he's put together. Obviously, there's going to be more content coming across the board. I think that there's going to be quite a bit. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. We finally got ourselves back on track. We got ourselves all plugged in. And before we finish out for today, we definitely got to talk about some more news that broke. Obviously, we talked about Jacques Gannett, but there's also another piece of news that I don't know if it was like semi-broke, but first, if you haven't noticed already in the chat, a big piece of exciting news was really a Joel Robinson truth bomb, which was that he announced that there's going to be at least 5 NASCAR, there's going to be 5 locals in the NASCAR race at Eastbound Park, which did not have that penciled in. I had 3, but he is saying that there's going to be 5. So be very curious to see who else joins. We already talked about like Gannett, which is awesome. But one thing I definitely want to put out here is the names that we could be potentially seeing at Ohsweken Speedway. Obviously, this GeForce TV, Ohsweken Speedway dirt racing is the name of the game. Well, names were kind of being floated out as who could we potentially see, and I put out there because there's a guy that joined the series last year for this race that I really wanted to see, and that was Aaron Turkey. Did a great job in the in the 99 for Larry Jackson Racing. Actually won the fastest lap challenge last year for Quick and I said, give me more turkey time, and he said he's back. So that's great news. Absolutely fantastic news to see that. I think Caleb also, he commented Jake Hooker would be somebody, be great to see. Wes also says Travis Pastrana, Kenny Wallace, Stuart Friesen. I wouldn't think that we wouldn't see Stuart Friesen again unless there's some sort of a conflict. Maybe Jessica Friesen gets an opportunity in races with them. I don't know if they've got the funding, but definitely something to see. Definitely awesome. But yeah, I love that we can talk about this and say that, hey, we've got names that are coming in that are going to do more racing. Like, we already know Dave Bailey is going to be back. I don't know about Christopher Bell. Wes said that he probably won't be allowed. I don't really know the situation there. But I am throwing it out there only if we're talking like big names. I'd like to see Rico Abreu. I think he's somebody that could definitely wheel it. Matt Williamson seems to be like the big name for up here that we want to try and get. I think Poirier would be a good one, Jordan Poirier. DJ Christie. He's somebody who I think has got an immense amount of talent, and he would be somebody that I'd like to be able to see in a NASCAR Pinty Series car. I think his dad, Jay, drove in the CASCAR Sportsman Series. So there's some history into racing stock cars for the Christies. So, but we really don't know, as Joel pointed out in the show earlier, that a lot of the teams are full. There's really not a ton of things that we can say regarding that, because I don't know. I'd like to see those names, but at the end of the day, we have to remember that there's not always enough cars for those races. So we know Michael Gowdy is still planning on racing. Now we've got the confirmation that Aaron Turkey is going to be there. Ken Schrader, I would think, would be a shoo-in to be back if he doesn't have anything going on. And I think those dirt racers would definitely be something fun to watch. And year in and year out, man, the series has got some great stuff coming down the pike, and we're definitely excited. And you know, the amount of stuff that's been coming out, and we don't have full confirmations yet. There's still names that we still have to get confirmation on what they're doing this year. Confirmations regarding Trayton Lapsevich, how many races he's doing, if he's doing full-time. I've heard full-time, but there's not been an announcement made yet. So got to figure that out. That would be on board. Tagliani still hasn't announced his partners and his look for this year. Be curious to see if they change things up this year. He did have a display car at Motorama, so we'll see how that looks. Trevor Monahan expected to run a couple of races. We'll see what he does. Obviously, the Brandon McFarlane and Josh Collins news. I mean, you can't really get away from the connection. They're running 23 and 45. So, is it 23-11 Canada in a way? DoorDash, maybe. That would be a good option right there. 23 and 45 Monster Energy. Why not? Definitely partners that we'd love to see come into the series, but I think this news again is you know, we still got names like Gary Clute and Brent Weller. Be curious to see what Sam Fellows is up to this year. Is LP Montour going to come back to the Dumoulin Competition team? Alex Labay, is he going to make any races this year? The JASS racing team, JAS Racing for Jacques Gannett, would appear to be a satellite team. It's not a Team 3 Red. It's not a 22 Racing. So, I mean, the amount of new organizations definitely is looking good. As Joel pointed out, though, I'm curious what the setup will be for the Newfoundland teams, if they're going to be traveling with all those cars, or if they're coming out of a specific shop. Um, if they're traveling, that does kind of throw a wrench, I think, into some plans. I would think, especially if we get weather like we had at Sunset last year. I mean, I think one of the things that I'm looking towards is Matthew Kingsbury. I'd like to see what Matthew's plans are. Is a team that I think is very strong, but weren't able to race the first race because they didn't make the trip because of the weather outlook, and that will deter some teams as well from taking those, because it costs so much money to race now. But we had a great episode, lots of news to talk about. We're not done just yet. We do have a paint scheme that was revealed, and I do want to get to some tidbits that took place. How about this one here? Long-time flagman, long-time official for the NASCAR Pinty Series, Sean Gibbs, a name that I grew up listening to. Not that I knew Sean, but his name was the one that they talked about every time they talked about the green flag being flown. The starter, Sean Gibbs, has the green flag in his hands, or is the checkered flag. And Sean is now going to be the race director at Delaware Speedway. So congratulations to Sean Gibbs. He most recently was flagging in the United Racing Series as an APC Series / Quick Wick Superstock Series flagman. But he is now going to take up a position as race director out at Delaware Speedway, and couldn't happen to a better guy. I mean, he's lives, breathes racing, and definitely happy to see Sean continuing to be within racing. Alex Agnani is teasing that he is for sure racing. 35 days to the first green flag, so we're excited to see him throughout some pole stuff. Again, we can't forget our racetracks, and we got a couple of them. Edmonton International Raceway and Eastbound Park are both in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series Advance My Track Challenge. You got to vote. AdvanceMyTrack.com. You vote as much as you can. You get 3 times daily until May 5th. So we've got ways away to go, but they're tracking with $50,000 towards upgrades, and Eastbound and Edmonton are both in the running. So let's work together. Let's get them as many votes as possible and get either one of those tracks $50,000. That would be fantastic. So definitely let's show them that. So we had a couple birthdays, Kyle Steckley and Trayton Lapsevich. But how about this beauty? This is the new look for the 31 for Daniel Bois in 2023. Now, they already had a bang and paint scheme or wrap job. It looks great. I personally do. I kind of wish they kept the Maple Leafs towards the back. That was one of my favorite parts about it. But the other thing you have to remember, when they do certain wraps and they change colors and stuff, it could be an indication of partners changing as well. The only partners that they have announced, was A&G, the Road Cleaners, Wrap Force, MBS obviously on there, and Sierra Excavating, which would have been on the car anyways. An interesting tidbit now. This might just be something that they're using for the renderings, but a real small amount of contingencies on the panel. Now, I'm hoping this is just because this is what Wrap Force is using, and they don't have an alternative source of the contingency panels for this year. But if we've got only 5 contingencies this year, that's a decrease. I'm not going to remember off the top of my head who is missing from the contingency panel, but I think Quick Wick was there a year ago. The Welcome Home Tour for Eastbound Park was also a part of the contingency panel last year. Again, it's one of those things though, like everybody uses, there's either a standard one that they use that if that contingency panel is not being used as like a standard overlay for renders, then it makes sense. But I'm just trying to take a look here. Yeah, so on the front panel, that's basically what we had was E3 spark plugs, Jostens, Leland, PFC, and the Come Home. Come Home not being there anymore, so that makes it a little bit emptier. On the front, GE pistons, comp cams, and safety clean. Not sure if that was across the board, however, because some contingency panels you'll get a little bit more, some you'll get a little bit less, depending. I'm just trying to see if I can find any evidence of the front panels on some of those cars. I'm seeing only the backs, unfortunately, right now. So I would, yeah, JE, comp cams, and safety cleaner on the front. So that's kind of your basis there. I would like to see hopefully a couple more come in. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love it. It's a great thing. I think that yeah. So Jim, what's Jim's comment here? When it comes to funding, businesses are still feeling the effects of the virus. Deal with hopefully things will settle. It's been going on for 3 years and it's been a distraction for sponsorships. It's absolutely true, Jim. It is. It definitely is a distraction, but I do want to confirm that it's probably still not over. I think the best plan that they have for this series is the plan that the 2024 schedule is going to be released. The plan is at least in the summertime. And I think that is going to do wonders. Budgets, and I mean, I work in corporate, in the corporate world in Toronto. Budgets are normally discussed months in advance. So having schedule not out until January, February, it makes it really hard because budget's already done for the year. So if you give that extra bit of time, if it comes out in June or July, that's just extra months that teams can work on. And not, this is the thing. It's not just the teams. It's also NASCAR that can work on further partnerships. That's a short window of time when the season ends to be able to work on partnerships for the following year. So to be able to give, and I mean, who better of a salesperson for the series than Tony Spiteri? I mean, the guy knows success. That's the way how it works. And while fans like myself, sometimes we get overzealous and a little bit impatient, we have to remember that it is 100% on board with building success, and that's what it takes. We've seen it. We've seen how the series has grown under people coming in and new names coming in, fresh faces. That's sometimes what it takes. And a guy like Tony Spiteri, who was able to get Pinty's to come into the series, and they've stayed. He's not with Pinty's anymore, and they've still stayed. That tells you something, that they have found something that it works. And I mean, myself, I've started. I didn't have a source to get Pinty's chicken before, and now I do. So naturally, going the Pinty's route, yeah, sure, it might cost a little bit more than what you do, but you support businesses, you support your weather techs, you support your MBS Motorsports. You know, it is definitely something that we can continue to do. It does. It gets taxing as a fan to be like, like, when is this going to happen? Or why isn't this happening? Or why isn't this? And listen, I've gotten caught up in that. It's hard to get your emotions in check sometimes because you are so passionate about it. There's complaining for the sake of complaining, or complaining because you want something to happen, and you see the benefits. Obviously, there's a long way to go here. But to have Riegser's point of view from Atlantic Canada, it's a great source. We're hoping to get somebody from Western Canada as well, to chat about it, and hopefully get a couple more people coming on the show this year and talking about some of the races. The one thing that we can definitely do is, as a fan base, is continue to sure be vocal and talk about stuff, but also be constructive and in a positive way. And I'll admit that I haven't always been the best on that, but we're going to, because we see the success down the line, and having a team coming in from Newfoundland means that they believe in the series, they believe in us, we should believe in them as well. And whether it takes a little bit of time, give it time. That's the hardest thing as a race fan to do, is to give stuff time, and things will work out as they will. And we want to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. But definitely, guys, appreciate you all. Really, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. GeForce TV. We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. Sorry about the technical difficulties. YouTube decided to have a little bit of a breakdown, and we lost the stream for a little bit. But all thanks to my man Spencer. Thanks to Wes moderating the chat. Everybody that comes out and speaks and chats. Reeser, definitely want to throw that out to you. And hopefully we've got an interview hopefully next week with Brandon McFarlane and Josh Collins. But great news for them, for Jacques Annette Sr., for Aaron Turkey, all confirmed in the NASCAR Pinty Series in 2023. I want to thank you guys for tuning in each and every week. Check out the NASCAR Pinty Series, NASCAR.ca, and on the social media following all the news. We'll catch you all